If you create a lot of social media posts on Canva, or maybe you want to, but you find the whole process time consuming and overwhelming, then this new feature from Canva will be a game changer for you. But in order to batch content, you first need a repository that's filled with content. And it needs to be in a format that can be downloaded as a CSV file. And most importantly, that file needs to be set up correctly. So let's start there. So here's an example of a content repository that I built in Google Sheets. You can build it in Excel. You can build it any way you want. You could use, even a tool like Notion, any place that you can download your information into a CSV file. You can build this. So I just chose a Google Sheet because it's just a little bit easier to work with. But the way that you want to make sure you've set up your content is to have each piece of content, like, in this example, I'm going to use a quote. I'm going to have the author for the quote. I'm going to have a different template that is like a question and choices, sort of like a poll. And then the third one I'm going to do is like myth versus fact. So I need to have all of these pieces of content in the spreadsheet set up this way so that like all the myths are in one column, the corresponding fact is in the next column. Same for the question and the choices, and the quote and the author. So when you have all your information set up like this, all you have to do is click on File, Download as a CSV, right? So it might be different in different applications, but basically you just want to download this file as a CSV so that we can turn around and upload this into Canva. So let's hop back over to Canva. Here's my template. I have a quote page set up. I have a myth versus truth page set up, and I have the poll page set up. So this will go really quickly for you if you have these already designed, if you have your templates aligned with your content. So on the left-hand side, we are going to scroll down until we get to apps. I'm going to click on apps, and under apps, we're going to scroll down to where it says bulk create and click on bulk create. And in here, you can see you could have your data in a Canva Sheets if you wanted to, and you could pull it in from there. I prefer to use just, Google Sheets or, Excel. But you could also enter the data manually if you wanted to, which it kind of defeats the purpose of this. This is why this is so time saving, is because we don't have to do any kind of copy and paste in here. Or we can upload the data, which is what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the file that we downloaded as a CSV. And you'll see it pulled it in, right? And it's got a quote, author, question, choices, myth, and fact that are the columns in that spreadsheet. So they pulled all this data in. So now all we have to do is to associate this with a space on the design. So over here, what we're going to do is we're going to click where we want the quote to go. So I just have a place marker labeled quote in here. And then I just click on connect data, and then I choose quote. And same thing, I just go through, click the field, choose which one I want. I want that to be the author. I'm going to scroll down here, choose the myth, choose the fact, choose the question, and then choose the choices. And now this is all the data is associated with a spot on the templates. Now, just want to point out there's an advanced options tab here. If we click on it, we have the choice of either creating multiple pages in one design. So it's going to give you one design that has, 8 times 3 is like 24. So it will have 24 designs in it. Or I could do 8 individual designs and each one would have the 3, right? You can choose which folder you want to save it in. And I'm going to stick with multiple pages in one design just because it gets a lot easier to manage when we have designs just, everything in one spot. But if you were going to use the scheduler function in Canva, then it might make more sense to split it out into individual designs. I'm just going to go ahead and click continue. And, it wants to make sure that I've chosen all the right data. And then you click generate the 8 designs and then view in folder. So back to the home screen, we're going to open this up and see what happened. So we can see down here in the corner, right, we have 24 pages, which is exactly what we expected. And we've got the first quote, first myth, the first poll, and now the second quote, the second myth truth, the second poll. And as you can see, right, there's a little bit of cleanup work to be done. Things need to be aligned. Part of that is that I didn't set that up correctly to begin with, but there will be things like the quote might not fit, right? And I'll have to manipulate that. I think there's one down here. Yeah, this one where Brene Brown doesn't really fit. The author's name doesn't fit in the space. So I'm going to have to clean this up a little bit. But this is generated 24 pieces of content in just a few minutes and with very minimal amount of cleanup for it. So this is a huge time saver, in my opinion. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know in the comments.